Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the Hughes Ranger, watching the stars drift past the viewscreen. The ship was small compared to the massive trade vessels that traveled between galaxies, but it was home to Jake and his crew. They had been patrolling the border between the Milky Way and Andromeda trade routes for 3 months now, and nothing exciting had happened. Jake was a tall man with brown hair and tired eyes. He had been commanding patrol ships for 5 years, and most days were the same. Check the shipping lanes, scan for pirates, file reports, and try not to fall asleep from boredom. His crew felt the same way. They were good people, but they wanted action. Navigator Lisa Park looked up from her console. She was a young woman with black hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Lisa had joined the crew 2 years ago, fresh from the academy. She was smart and eager, but patrol duty was not what she had dreamed of when she signed up. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors," Lisa said. Her voice carried a hint of excitement that made Jake sit up straighter. "What kind of strange?" Jake asked. "Multiple ships, about 40 million kilometers away. They're not moving in normal flight patterns. It looks like they're circling something." Jake turned to his communications officer. Amy Stone was a small woman with red hair and freckles. She had been with Jake longer than anyone else on the crew, and she could make their basic radio equipment work miracles. "Amy, can you pick up any signals from that area?" Jake asked. Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. Her face grew serious as she listened through her headset. "Captain, I'm getting distress calls. It's in Zelkari language. They're under attack." Jake felt his heart rate increase. The Zelkari were peaceful traders who carried goods between star systems. They had no weapons and depended on other species for protection. If someone was attacking them, it meant pirates. "Can you tell who's attacking them?" Jake asked. "The transmission is breaking up, but I think I heard Korthic voices on the same frequency," Amy replied. Jake cursed it under his breath. The Korthic were the worst kind of pirates. They attacked weak ships, stole everything valuable, and often killed the crews just for fun. They were cowards who only fought when they had overwhelming numbers. Engineer Ron Hayes spoke up from his station. He was a big man with gray hair and strong hands that could fix anything on the ship. "Captain, if it's the Korthic, they probably have at least 3 ships, maybe more. We're just one patrol vessel." Jake knew Ron was right. The UES Ranger was not built for major battles. It had basic shields, 2 laser cannons, and a small missile launcher. Against multiple pirate ships, they should wait for backup. How long would it take for reinforcements to arrive? Jake asked Lisa. Lisa checked her navigation computer. "The nearest patrol group is 6 hours away. The closest military ship is 4 hours out." Jake stood up and walked to the view screen. Somewhere out there, innocent people were being attacked. The Zelkari had families, children, lives that mattered. In 4 hours, they would all be dead. "Amy, can you get a clearer picture of what's happening?" Jake asked. Amy worked at her console for several minutes. "Captain, I'm getting video feed from one of the Zelkari ships. It's not good." The main screen flickered, then showed a scene. That made Jake's blood boil. 3 large, dark ships were surrounding 2 smaller Zelkari vessels. The pirate ships were firing at the traders who were trying to escape but failing. One of the Zelkari ships was already damaged, trailing smoke and debris. "How many Korthak ships?" Jake asked. "I count 3, maybe 4. "They're bigger than us, Captain," Lisa said quietly. Jake watched the screen as the pirates continued their attack. The Zelkari were good people. They had helped Earth establish trade routes when humans first reached the stars. They deserved better than to die alone while help was hours away. "Ron, what's our engine status?" Jake asked. "We're running at 80% efficiency. I can push it to 100 if you need it," Ron replied. "Amy, send a message to headquarters. Tell them we're responding to a distress call. Include our position and the situation." Amy looked surprised. "Captain, are you sure we're outnumbered?" Jake turned to face his crew. Lisa looked worried but determined. Amy was nervous but ready to follow orders. Ron just nodded, understanding what they had to do. "We swore an oath to protect innocent lives," Jake said. Those Zelkari don't have 4 hours. They barely have 4 minutes. What's the plan, Captain? Lisa asked. Jake studied the tactical display. The Korthik ships were arranged in a loose triangle around the Zelkari vessels. They were confident, lazy, probably not expecting any interference. That was their mistake. We're going to hit them fast and hard, Jake said. Lisa, plot a course that brings us in from their blind side. Use the asteroid field to mask our approach. Yes, sir, Lisa replied, her fingers flying over the navigation controls. Ron, I need everything you can give me from the engines and weapons. Push the limits if you have to. You got it, Captain. This old ship has more fight in her than most people think, Ron said with a grin. Amy, keep monitoring their communications. Let me know if they spot us coming. Jake sat back down in his command chair. His crew was scared, but they trusted him. More importantly, they understood what was at stake. The Zelkari were counting on them. Even if they didn't know help was coming, the UES Ranger changed course heading toward the battle. Jake watched the tactical display as they approached. The Korthik ships were still focused on the Zelkari, firing lazily at the damaged traders. They had no idea that a human ship was racing toward them. Captain, we're 10 minutes out, Lisa. Reported, 5 minutes until we're in weapons range, Ron added. Jake felt the familiar calm that came before a fight. His grandfather had been a soldier, and his father had served in the merchant marine. Fighting to protect others was in his blood. Amy, any change in their communications? Jake asked. They're still focused on the Zelkari. I don't think they know we're here, Amy replied. Jake nodded. The element of surprise was their biggest advantage. Once the Korthak realized they were under attack, the real fight would begin. Lisa, how are those Zelkari ships holding up? Jake asked. Lisa checked her sensors. The first ship is badly damaged but still flying. The second ship is trying to help, but they have no weapons. Captain, I don't think they can last much longer. Jake felt anger building in his chest. The Korthak were playing with their victims, drawing out the attack for their own amusement. They would pay for that cruelty. 2 minutes to weapons range. Ron announced. Jake leaned forward in his chair. All right, people, this is what we trained for. We're going to show these pirates what happens when they attack innocent people in human space. The UES Ranger burst out of the asteroid field like a hunting animal. The Korthik ships were directly ahead, still focused on the Zelkari. Jake smiled grimly. It was time to even the odds. Amy, open a channel to the Korthik ships, Jake ordered. Channel. Open, Captain. Jake's voice was calm but deadly. Korthik vessels, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the UES Ranger. You are attacking civilians in violation of galactic law. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. The response came quickly in broken English. Human ship, you are outnumbered. Leave now or we will destroy you too. Jake looked at his crew. They were ready. Ron, target their lead ship. Lisa, evasive maneuvers. Amy, record everything. Let's show the galaxy what humans do to bullies. The battle was about to begin. The UES Ranger moved like a predator hunting its prey. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as his ship closed in on the Korthik pirates. The enemy vessels were larger and more heavily armed, but they had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humans. Weapons in range, Captain, Ron Hayes announced from his engineering station. His fingers danced over the controls, pushing the ship's systems beyond their normal limits. Fire, Jake ordered. The Ranger's laser cannons erupted in brilliant flashes of light. The beams struck the lead Korthik ship along its flank, cutting through armor like a hot knife through butter. The pirate vessel spun sideways, caught completely off guard. Direct hit on their main engines, Lisa Park reported from navigation. They're losing power. The other 2 Korthik ships reacted quickly, turning to face this new threat. Their weapons began firing at the Ranger, but Jake's ship was already moving. Lisa had plotted an erratic course that made them nearly impossible to hit. Evasive maneuvers. Jake called out, "Don't let them get a lock on us." The Ranger twisted and rolled through space, dodging the incoming fire. Amy Stone watched her communications panel as the Korthik pirates screamed orders at each other in their harsh language. Captain, they're trying to coordinate their attack, Amy reported. They're not used to fighting something that moves like we do, Jake smiled grimly. Most space battles were fought like naval engagements, with ships moving in predictable patterns and exchanging fire at long range. Humans had learned to fight differently. They used speed, unpredictability, and aggression to overcome superior numbers. Ron, target the second ship's weapon systems, Jake ordered. Let's even the odds. The Ranger's missiles launched in a tight spread, streaking toward the second Korthik vessel. The enemy ship tried to shoot down the missiles, but the humans had anticipated this. The missiles split apart at the last second, becoming smaller warheads that were harder to track. Explosions bloomed across the pirate ship's hull. Its main guns went silent, leaving it nearly defenseless. The third Korthak ship, seeing what had happened to its companions, began to retreat. They're running, Lisa announced. Not yet, they're not, Jake replied. Amy, send a message to the Zalkari ships. Tell them to get clear of the area. Amy's hands moved quickly over her controls. Message sent, Captain. The Zalkari are moving to a safe distance. Jake studied the tactical display. The first Korthak ship was dead in space, its engines destroyed. The second ship was trying to limp away with its weapons gone. The third ship was accelerating toward the edge of the system, but it wasn't fast enough. Lisa, intercept course on the fleeing ship, Jake ordered. They started this fight. We're going to finish it. The Ranger turned toward the escaping pirate vessel. The human ship was smaller and lighter, which made it faster. Within minutes, they had caught up to the fleeing Korthik ship. Disable their engines, Jake commanded. I want them alive to face justice. Ron targeted the enemy ship's propulsion systems with surgical precision. The Ranger's weapons fired in short, controlled bursts, crippling the pirate vessel without destroying it completely. All three ships are disabled, Captain, Lisa reported. The Zalkari are safe. Jake leaned back in his command chair. The entire battle had lasted less than 20 minutes. 3 Korthik ships, each larger and more heavily armed than the Ranger, had been defeated by a single human patrol vessel. Amy, contact the Zalkari ships. Ask if they need medical assistance, Jake ordered. Amy opened a channel to the rescued traders. The response came quickly in accented English. Human ship, this is Captain Vexstar of the merchant vessel Golden Dawn. We are in your debt. How did you defeat 3 Korthik ships so easily? Jake frowned. He didn't think the battle had been easy. It had been dangerous and required split-second timing. But he supposed it had looked simple from the outside. We just did our job, Captain Vexstar. Are your people injured? We have some damage to our hull, but no casualties. Your arrival was perfectly timed. We thought we were going to die. Jake felt a warm satisfaction in his chest. This was why he had joined the patrol service. Saving lives made all the boring days worth it. We're sending coordinates for the nearest repair station, Jake said. You should be able to make it there safely. Thank you, Captain Morrison. The Zalkari people will not forget this kindness. As the Zalkari ships limped toward safety, Jake turned his attention to the disabled Korthik vessels. Ron was scanning them with the ship's sensors. What's the status on our pirate friends? Jake asked. They're all alive, but their ships are going nowhere, Ron replied. The first ship lost its entire engine section. The second ship's weapons are completely destroyed. The third ship's propulsion is offline. Good, Amy. Contact headquarters. Tell them we need a recovery team to collect these pirates. Amy sent the message, then turned to Jake with a puzzled expression. Captain, I'm getting some strange communications from the Zalkari ship. It sounds like they're recording detailed reports about our battle. Jake shrugged. They probably want to file insurance claims or something. Pirates' attacks are bad for business. What Jake didn't know was that the Zalkari were indeed recording everything, but not for insurance purposes. Captain Vexstar was a former military officer who understood space combat. He had never seen anything like the human fighting style. Aboard the Golden Dawn, Vexstar was speaking rapidly into his communication device. His words were being transmitted to the Zalkari homeworld, where military analysts would study every detail of the battle. The humans fought like nothing I have ever seen, Vexstar reported. Their ship moved in patterns that should have been impossible. They used their weapons with precision that defied explanation. 3 Korthik ships were disabled in less than 20 minutes. The response from the Zalkari homeworld was immediate. Are you certain about these details, Captain? 3 ships against 1? I am certain. The human ship was smaller than any of the Korthik vessels, but it fought like a creature possessed. They anticipated every move the pirates made. It was as if they could see the future. Meanwhile, on the UES Ranger, Jake and his crew were cleaning up after the battle. Ron was checking the ship's systems for damage. Lisa was plotting a course back to their patrol route. Amy was filing the required reports. Not bad for a day's work, Ron said with satisfaction. The old girl performed like a champion. We all did, Jake replied. I'm proud of this crew. Amy looked up from her communications panel. Captain, I'm getting a priority message from headquarters. They want a full report on the engagement. Jake nodded. Send them everything. Sensor logs, tactical recordings, the whole package. What Jake didn't realize was that his report would be studied by military experts across 3 galaxies. The battle recordings would be analyzed by dozens of different species, all trying to understand how one human ship had defeated 3 pirate vessels so decisively within hours. The news of the engagement began to spread through the interstellar communication networks. Traders, diplomats, and military officers shared the story of the human patrol ship that had rescued the Zalkari convoy on the Centauri homeworld. Admiral Kethmer watched the battle recordings with growing concern. The human tactical display was unlike anything in his military database. The patterns were chaotic yet effective, aggressive yet controlled. How did they predict a Korthik movement so accurately? He asked his aide. Unknown, sir. Our analysts believe the humans may have access to advanced tactical computers. Admiral Kethmer shook his head. No computer fights like that. There's something else going on here. In the Vorthic Empire, military planners were having similar discussions. The human ship's performance exceeded all known parameters for vessels of its size and class. Some experts suggested that the humans had been hiding their true military capabilities. The Hive Collective's analysis was even more disturbing. Their interconnected minds had studied the battle from every angle, and they had reached a troubling conclusion. The human crew had not been following standard military doctrine. They had been improvising, adapting their tactics in real time. This level of individual initiative is unprecedented, Node Prime 7 reported to the collective. Each human crew member operated independently while maintaining perfect coordination with the others. Back on the Hughes Ranger, Jake Morrison had no idea that his simple rescue mission had set off alarms across 3 galaxies. He was just a patrol captain who had done his duty. The galaxy, however, was beginning to realize that humans might be more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The battle was over, but the real story was just beginning. The emergency session of the Galactic Trade Council was unlike any meeting in its 300-year history. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered on Haven Prime, the neutral station that served as the galaxy's diplomatic center. The massive meeting hall buzzed with worried conversations in dozens of languages. Council leader Zarak of the Vorthic Empire stood at the central podium. She was a tall, elegant being with silver skin and 4 arms that moved gracefully as she spoke. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had led the council for 50 years. We are here to discuss the recent engagement between a human patrol vessel and 3 Korthik pirate ships, Zarak announced. The battle recordings have been distributed to all member species for analysis. Admiral Kethmer of the Centauri Federation raised one of his 6 hands. He was a military leader who had fought in dozens of conflicts, but the human battle footage had shaken him deeply. Council leader, my military experts have studied these recordings for weeks. The human tactical display exceeds all known parameters for space combat. Either they possess technology far beyond what they have revealed, or they are naturally more dangerous than we realized. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Centauri were known for their military prowess. And if they were concerned about human capabilities, other species took notice. Node Prime 7 of the Hive Collective spoke next. The being looked like a collection of metal and crystal with lights that pulsed as it communicated. Our analysis confirms the Centauri assessment. The human crew operated with individual initiative while maintaining perfect coordination. This is unprecedented in our databases. Captain Vextar of the Zelkari had been invited to testify about what he had witnessed. The traitor stood nervously at the witness podium, his green skin pale with memory of the battle. I have seen many space battles in my years as a merchant. Captain, Vextar began. Pirates, naval engagements, even some military exercises. What the humans did was different. They moved like hunters, not like soldiers. Can you explain the difference? Asked Zarak. Vextar struggled to find the right words. Soldiers follow plans and training. The humans seemed to be making up their tactics as they fought. But somehow it worked perfectly. They turned a hopeless situation into a victory in minutes. The Korthic representative, War Chief Gregtor, stood up angrily. He was a large, muscular being with thick gray skin and prominent tusks. The Korthak were known for their aggression, but even they were worried about the humans. The human ship was smaller than our vessels, Gregtor growled. It had fewer weapons and weaker armor. Yet it defeated 3 of our best raiders without taking serious damage. This is not possible unless they cheated somehow. How does one cheat in space combat? Asked Admiral Kethmar. Gregtor had no answer. The recordings showed no evidence of secret weapons or hidden technology. The human ship had won through superior tactics and incredible skill. Dr. Elena Vasquez, an ambassador. Kate Miller sat in the human delegation section. Elena was a xenobiologist who studied alien species, while Kate was Earth's chief diplomat. They had been asked to attend the meeting, but they weren't sure why everyone was so upset about a simple rescue mission. May the human representatives approach the podium? Asked Zara. Single quotes KH. Elena and Kate walked to the center of the hall. Hundreds of alien eyes watched them carefully, as if they were dangerous predators instead of peaceful diplomats. Ambassador Miller, Zarek began, the Galactic Trade Council is concerned about the military capabilities displayed by your patrol vessel. Can you explain how such a small ship defeated 3 larger opponents? Kate looked confused. Captain, Morrison and his crew responded to a distress call from civilians under attack. They did their job according to standard human military doctrine. Standard doctrine? Node Prime 7's lights flashed rapidly. You consider this level of tactical flexibility to be normal? Of course, Kate replied. Human military training emphasizes adaptability and creative problem-solving. Every situation is different, so our people learn to think on their feet. The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. The idea that such extreme tactical capability was normal for humans was more frightening than if it had been the result of secret technology. Admiral Kethmore leaned forward. Ambassador, our military analysts studied the battle recordings. The human ship executed maneuvers that should have been impossible without advanced computer assistance. How do you explain this? Elena stepped forward. Admiral, I think there may be a misunderstanding. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned to use every advantage available to us, including superior reflexes and spatial awareness. Superior reflexes? Asked Zarak. Yes, Elena replied. Humans evolved as hunters on a dangerous planet. We developed quick reactions and the ability to track multiple moving targets simultaneously. These skills translate well to space combat. The council members began talking among themselves in agitated voices. The humans could hear fragments of conversation in various languages, but the tone was clearly one of concern. War Chief Gregtor stood up again. Are you telling us that all human military personnel fight like this? Kate nodded. Our military training is standardized across all branches of service. Captain Morrison's crew would be considered competent but not exceptional. By human standards, the hall fell silent. The implications of Kate's words were staggering. If the crew of the UES Ranger was considered average by human standards, what were their elite forces capable of? Admiral Kethmer activated his personal data pad and began reading from it. Council Leader, I have additional information that may be relevant to this discussion. My intelligence services have compiled historical data about human military conflicts. Please share your findings, Zarek requested. Humans have fought over 400 major wars on their home planet, Kethmer began. They developed thousands of different weapons and tactical systems. Even after achieving interstellar travel, they maintained active military forces and continued to develop new combat technologies. More worried murmurs filled the hall. Most species had achieved peace on their homeworlds before reaching the stars. The idea of a species that continued to wage war even after developing space travel was disturbing. Furthermore, Kethmer continued, human military history shows a pattern of rapid adaptation to new threats. They faced enemies with superior technology and found ways to defeat them through creativity and determination. Elena realized that the Council was becoming increasingly worried about humanity's military potential. She tried to reassure them. Council Leader, I want to emphasize that humans are peaceful by nature. We joined the galactic community because we wanted to trade and explore, not to conquer. Our military exists only for defense. Defense against... What? Asked Node Prime 7. Elena paused. The question was harder to answer than she had expected. Against any threat that might arise. Humans believe in being prepared for the unexpected. Zarek looked around the hall at the worried faces of the alien representatives. Dr. Vasquez, what you describe as preparation, we see as a species that expects conflict. Most civilized species achieve peace before reaching the stars. Humans appear to have reached the stars while still preparing for war. We don't prepare for war, Kate protested. We prepare for any emergency that might occur. The difference is important. Is it? Asked Admiral Kethmer. Your patrol ship was designed for peaceful duties, yet it defeated 3 warships in minutes. If that is your idea of a peaceful vessel, what are your actual warships capable of? Kate and Elena looked at each other. They were beginning to understand why the Council was so concerned. From an alien perspective, human military capabilities must seem incredibly threatening. I think we need to request more information from Earth, Kate said quietly to Elena. I agree, Elena replied, but I'm not sure the answers will make anyone feel better. The council session continued for hours, with various species sharing their analysis of the human combat recordings. The conclusion was unanimous. Humanity possessed military capabilities that far exceeded their apparent technological level. As the session ended, Zarek made a formal announcement. The Galactic Trade Council will establish a committee to study the human military question. All member species are advised to exercise caution when dealing with human vessels. Elena and Kate walked back to their quarters in silence. They had come to Haven Prime thinking they would be thanked for rescuing the Zalkari traders. Instead, they found themselves at the center of a galactic crisis. Kate, Elena said finally, I think we need to call Earth. The President needs to know what's happening here. Kate nodded. This is bigger than a simple rescue mission. The entire galaxy is afraid of us, and they might be right to be. Neither. Women realized that their conversation was being monitored by intelligence services from multiple species. The galaxy was watching humanity very carefully now, and what they saw made them more nervous with each passing day. 3 weeks after the Galactic Trade Council meeting, War Chief Gregtor of the Korthic Hegemony sat in his command bunker deep beneath the surface of his homeworld. The massive chamber was filled with tactical displays showing ship movements across 3 galaxies. Gregtor's pride had been wounded by the defeat of his raiders, and he wanted revenge. The humans got lucky, Gregtor growled to his assembled war chiefs. 3 ships against 1 is bad odds, but 12 ships against 3 is different. We will show the galaxy that humans are not invincible. Sub-Chief Rachel, Gregtor's most trusted advisor, looked concerned. War Chief, the Council warned all species to be careful around human vessels. Perhaps we should reconsider this plan. Gregtor slammed his fist on the table, making the metal surface dent. The Council is full of cowards and traitors. They fear humans because they have forgotten how to fight. We are Korthek. We do not run from anyone. The plan was simple but massive. Gregtor had assembled 12 of his best warships, each one larger and more heavily armed than the vessels that had been defeated by the UES Ranger. The target was a human convoy traveling near the edge of Triangulum Galaxy, far from any military bases or patrol routes. Intelligence reports showed that the convoy consisted of only 3 human ships, a cargo vessel, an escort frigate, and a science ship. Against 12 Korthak warships, the humans would have no chance. The attack would prove that the earlier defeat had been a fluke. Meanwhile, Captain Sam Rodriguez was enjoying a quiet moment on the bridge of the UES Denver, a large cargo ship carrying medical supplies to colonies in the Outer Rim. Sam was a veteran merchant captain with 20 years of experience hauling goods across the galaxy. His ship was not built for combat, but it had enough defensive systems to protect against pirates. "Captain, we're receiving a routine check-in from our escort," reported Communications Officer Beth Turner. She was a young woman with blonde hair who had joined the crew 6 months ago. "Acknowledge the signal," Sam replied. "How's Captain Chun doing over there?" The escort frigate Yuzu Phoenix was commanded by Captain Lisa Shun, a former military officer who had transferred to merchant escort duty. Her ship was small but fast, designed to protect cargo vessels from pirates and raiders. "She reports all systems normal," Beth said. "The science ship is also maintaining formation." The UES Explorer was the 3rd ship in the convoy. Commander Alex Thompson led a team of researchers studying unusual energy readings in the outer galaxy. His ship was equipped with advanced sensors and research equipment, but very few weapons. Sam felt comfortable with the arrangement. 3 human ships traveling together could handle most threats they might encounter. The cargo run was routine, and they expected to reach their destination without incident. That expectation changed when long-range sensors detected 12 large ships approaching from the outer system. The vessels were moving in attack formation and broadcasting Korthak identification codes. "Captain, we have a problem," announced Navigator Tony Walsh from his station. Tony was an experienced spacer who had seen his share of pirate attacks. 12 Korthak ships, heading straight for us? Sam felt his heart rate increase. 12 ships was a major attack force, far more than the usual pirate raid. Someone wanted the convoy destroyed, not just robbed. "Beth, contact the Phoenix and the Explorer. Tell them we have incoming hostiles." "Tony, what's our best escape route?" Tony checked his star charts. "We're too far from any military bases. The nearest patrol ship is 8 hours away." "We're on our own, Captain." Sam knew that 3 human ships could not fight 12 Korthak warships using conventional tactics. But humans had never been known for using conventional tactics. "Open a channel to the other ships," Sam ordered. "It's time to coordinate." Within minutes, the 3 human captains were discussing their options. Captain Chun of the Phoenix had the most military experience, but she was brutally honest about their situation. "We're outnumbered 4 to 1, Chun said over the radio. "Normal doctrine says we should scatter and hope some of us escape. That's not going to happen," Sam replied. "We stick together and we fight together." "Alex, what kind of equipment do you have on the Explorer?" Commander Thompson's voice crackled. Through the speakers, "We have geological survey equipment, deep space sensors, and a few experimental devices. Not exactly weapons, but I might be able to improvise something." Sam smiled grimly. Improvisation was something humans excelled at. "Lisa, what's your tactical assessment?" "The Korthak ships are big and heavily armed, but they're also slow and predictable," Chun replied. "If we can avoid their main guns and hit their weak points, we might have a chance." "What about using the cargo as weapons?" Sam suggested. "I've got 30,000 tons of medical supplies. Some of those containers are pretty heavy." "That's insane," Thompson said. "You want to use cargo containers as missiles? Why not?" "Sam replied, "They're already in space. We just need to give them some velocity and direction." The Korthak fleet was closing fast, but the human ships had time to prepare. Sam began calculating trajectories for launching cargo containers, while Chun plotted attack patterns for the Phoenix. Thompson worked frantically to convert his research equipment into tactical systems. "Incoming transmission from the Korthak fleet," Beth announced. "Put it through," Sam ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was harsh and arrogant. "Human ships, this is War Chief Gregtor of the Korthak hegemony. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now and we will kill you quickly." Sam looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were also angry. The Korthak were bullies who attacked innocent people for profit and pleasure. It was time someone taught them a lesson. "War Chief Gregtor, this is Captain Sam Rodriguez of the U.S. Denver. We decline your generous offer. If you want our ships, come and take them." Gregtor's laughter echoed through the radio. "Foolish humans. You will learn the price of defying the Korthak." The battle began as the pirate ships moved into attack formation. The human ships scattered, but not in the pattern the Korthak expected. Instead of fleeing, they were positioning themselves for a coordinated counterattack. Sam's cargo ship turned toward the enemy fleet, its cargo bay doors opening. Hundreds of shipping containers began launching into space, accelerated by the ship's industrial loading systems. The containers spread out in a wide pattern, creating a dangerous obstacle field. The Korthak ships found themselves flying through a cloud of heavy metal boxes moving at high velocity. Several containers struck the lead vessels, causing significant damage. The pirates had to break formation to avoid the improvised weapons while the enemy ships were distracted. Captain Chun's frigate attacked from an unexpected angle. The Phoenix used its superior speed and maneuverability to strike at the Korthak ship's weak points. Her weapons targeted engine systems and sensor arrays, crippling multiple vessels. Commander Thompson's science ship had transformed into something unprecedented. The Explorer was using its deep space sensors to jam enemy communications, while its geological survey equipment created false sensor readings. The Korthak ships were flying blind, unable to coordinate their attacks. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded military history. The human ships fought with a combination of creativity, desperation, and tactical brilliance that left the Korthak completely confused. Sam's cargo ship continued launching containers while using its industrial equipment as weapons. The ships loading cranes grabbed damaged enemy vessels and threw them into each other. The Denver fought like a giant space-based construction worker. Using tools instead of traditional weapons, Chun's frigate moved through the battle zone like a hunting shark, striking quickly and disappearing before the enemy could respond. The Phoenix targeted critical systems with surgical precision, leaving enemy ships disabled but not destroyed. Thompson's science vessel had become a master of deception, creating false targets and sensor ghosts that made the Korthak shoot at empty space. The Explorer used its research equipment to analyze enemy weaknesses in real time, sharing tactical data with the other human ships. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, 8 Korthak ships were disabled and 4 had surrendered. Not a single human vessel was destroyed, though all 3 were heavily damaged. War Chief Gregtor sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. His massive fleet had been defeated by 3 human ships that should have been easy prey. The humans had fought like demons, using tactics that defied every principle of civilized warfare. How did they do this? Gregtor whispered to himself. The answer would soon spread across 3 galaxies, carrying with it a message that would change the balance of power forever. Humanity was not just another species to be conquered or ignored. They were something far more dangerous, a race of natural warriors who viewed the impossible as merely challenging. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Trade Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every known species across 3 galaxies had gathered to hear the final report on the human military question. The recent battle between 3 human ships and 12 Korthak warships had sent shockwaves through the entire galactic community. Council Leader Zarak stood at the main podium, her forearms moving nervously as she addressed the packed hall. The silver-skinned Vorthak leader had called this emergency session after receiving battle reports that seemed impossible to believe. Fellow council members, Zarek began, we have gathered today to discuss findings that will change how we view humanity forever. Dr. Elena Vasquez of Earth has requested permission to address the council with new information about human nature. Dr. Elena Vasquez walked to the speaking platform, carrying a datapad filled with research that had taken her months to compile. She was a small woman with brown hair and calm eyes, but her presence commanded attention from the hundreds of alien beings watching her. Council leader, fellow representatives, Elena began, I have been asked to explain why human military capabilities seem to exceed our technological level. The answer lies not in secret weapons or hidden technology, but in human evolution and biology. Admiral Kethmer of the Centauri Federation interrupted. Dr. Vasquez, our military experts have analyzed both recent battles involving human ships. The tactical displays exceed all known parameters. How do you explain this? Elena touched her datapad and a holographic display appeared above the assembly. The image showed a blue-green planet with swirling clouds and vast oceans. This is Earth, the human homeworld, Elena explained. To understand humans, you must first understand the world that created us. Earth is what we call a death world. Confused murmurs filled the hall. Most species had evolved on stable, peaceful planets with few natural dangers. The concept of death world was foreign to them. Earth has extreme weather, dangerous predators, natural disasters, and limited resources, Elena continued. Humans evolved not as the dominant species, but as one of many competing for survival. We developed as persistence predators. Node Prime 7 of the Hive Collective spoke up, its lights flashing rapidly. Explain the term persistence predator, Dr. Vasquez. Persistence predators hunt by chasing their prey until the prey collapses from exhaustion, Elena replied. Humans can run for hours without stopping. We can track wounded animals across vast distances. We never give up once we start hunting. The hall fell silent as the implications sank in. War Chief Gregtor of the Korthek shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His people were ambush predators who relied on surprise and overwhelming force. The idea of prey that never stopped chasing was terrifying. This hunting instinct translates into human military behavior, Elena continued. When humans fight, we adapt our tactics continuously. We use whatever tools are available. We never surrender as long as we can still move. Captain Vextar of the Zelkari raised his hand. Dr. Vasquez, this explains the persistence, but what about the creativity? The human ships used tactics that seemed impossible, Elena smiled sadly. That comes from another aspect of human evolution. Earth forced us to become tool users. Humans can turn any object into a weapon or tool. We see possibilities that other species miss. She activated another holographic display, this one showing human military history. Images of primitive weapons, ancient battles, and modern conflicts filled the air above the assembly. Humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. Elena said, we developed thousands of different weapons, tactics, and strategies. We fought against enemies with superior technology and found ways to win through innovation and determination. Admiral Kethmore leaned forward. Dr. Vasquez, are you saying that human military doctrine is based on primitive hunting instincts? Not primitive, Elena corrected. Refined through millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of warfare. What you saw in those battles was not advanced technology. It was human nature. The alien representatives began talking among themselves in worried voices. Elena waited for the noise to die down before continuing. I want to emphasize that humans are not naturally aggressive toward other species, she said. We joined the galactic community because we wanted peace and cooperation, but we retain our survival instincts. Colonel Matt Harris, Earth's military liaison, stepped forward to join Elena at the podium. He was a tall man with gray hair and the bearing of a professional soldier. Council leader, if I may add to Dr. Vasquez's explanation, Colonel Harris said. The human ships involved in these battles were operating under defensive protocols. They were not using full military doctrine. This statement caused an uproar in the assembly. Representatives from dozens of species began shouting questions and demands for clarification. "What do you mean by full military doctrine?" asked Zara. Single quotes KH. Colonel Harris activated his own data display, showing organizational charts and tactical manuals. The ships that engaged the Korthik were civilian vessels with basic defensive systems. Our actual military vessels are designed specifically for warfare. War Chief Gregter stood up angrily. "Are you telling us that our fleets were defeated by civilian ships?" "The UES Ranger was a patrol vessel with minimal armament," Colonel Harris replied. "The convoy ships were a cargo hauler, an escort frigate, and a science vessel. None of them were frontline military units." The hall erupted in chaos. Representatives from military species could not believe that their warships had been defeated by what humans considered civilian vessels. Elena stepped forward again. "Council members, please understand that humans do not separate military and civilian mindstates as clearly as other species. Every human ship captain receives basic combat training. Every human crew knows how to defend themselves." "But why?" asked Node Prime 7. "Most species achieve peace before reaching the stars." "Because Earth taught us that peace is temporary," Elena replied. "Humans learned that survival requires constant vigilance and preparation. We hope for peace, but we prepare for anything." "Admiral." Kethmer stood up slowly. "Dr. Vasquez, Colonel Harris, I must ask a direct question. If the ships we observed were operating under defensive protocols, what would happen if humans were truly threatened?" Elena and Colonel Harris exchanged glances. This was the question they had been dreading. "Colonel Harris will answer that question," Elena said quietly. Colonel Harris looked around the hall at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. "If humanity were truly threatened, we would respond with full military doctrine. This includes coordinated fleet actions, strategic planning, and weapon systems that we have never used in galactic space." "What kind of weapons?" asked Zarek. "Weapons designed to fight other humans," Colonel Harris replied. "Earth's military technology was developed through centuries of warfare against opponents who think like us, adapt like us, and fight like us." The silence in the hall was complete. Every representative understood the implications. If humans had developed weapons to fight other humans, those weapons would be devastatingly effective against alien species. Elena spoke again, her voice gentle but firm. "Council members, I want to stress that humanity has no desire to dominate or conquer other species. We are explorers and traders who happen to be very good at defending ourselves." "But you could conquer us if you wanted to," said Captain Vexstar. Quietly, Elena met his eyes. "We could try, but we would rather be friends." Council leader Zara called for order as the assembly began to discuss the revelations. After hours of debate, she announced the council's decision. "The Galactic Trade Council hereby passes Resolution 847. No species across 3 galaxies should risk attacking human ships. This resolution is based on the understanding that humans are a species of natural warriors who have chosen to be peaceful." Admiral Kethmer stood to make the final statement. "Let the record show that we have discovered humans are not just another species joining galactic civilization. They are apex predators who decided to become gardeners. We must ensure they never have reason to change their minds." The resolution passed unanimously. As the council session ended, representatives from across the galaxy began sending messages to their homeworlds. The message was simple: humanity was not to be threatened or attacked under any circumstances. Dr. Elena Vasquez walked back to her quarters, carrying the weight of what she had revealed. The galaxy now understood that humans were dangerous, but they also understood that humans chose to be peaceful. It was a delicate balance that would shape interstellar relations for generations to come. Colonel Harris joined her in the corridor. "Do you think we did the right thing?" he asked. Elena nodded. "The truth was going to come out eventually. Better that they learn it from us, along with the understanding that we want to be friends." The galaxy had learned to coexist with the knowledge that their most peaceful neighbors were also their most dangerous potential enemies. It was a lesson that would echo across 3 galaxies for centuries to come.